The XRP super cycle is about to be unleashed, Tom Lee. So Tom Lee has been very much right about XRP for a long time. And if you guys are hyped about this content, be sure to smash that like button. So Tom Lee has been calling for XRP, and the new wave of investors, the new wave of cycle. What we haven't seen yet is retail investors. Retail investors are a very big part of buying an economy. And that's what I think we should push for, honestly. If not, it's institutional investors here. So yeah, these are the two things that I'm really hopeful and worried about. But I am excited to see more about that.
For is going to come to fruition, and this is going to allow the trillions of dollars we've been waiting for this entire year to start flooding into XRP. Now, I just want to highlight real quick the key events that are happening this week. We have August retail sales data, and then, of course, the Fed interest rate decision happening on Wednesday. This is it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Everyone is pointing to the fact that the Fed will cut rates.
So yeah, this is a very key moment. This is sometimes what happens in crypto. You don't have anything, and then suddenly you have everything in that sense for crypto. Like you could go months with XRP having no news and people complaining about price, and then suddenly in 3 days there's more stuff happening than an entire month.
And if that happens, well, I want to show you guys something. In 20 out of the last 20 times that the Fed has cut rates with the S&P 500 at record highs, stocks ended higher 12 months later. This also applies to cryptocurrency. This is 100% odds that 12 months later, basically, we're going to see the S&P 500 close higher. And of course, the crypto market is just as correlated to the Fed's policy decisions as the S&P 500. Now, there is something you need to look out for, though. In 11 out of the 22 last times that this has happened, stocks ended lower 1 month later. So there's about a 50% chance that over the next 30 days after the Fed lowers rates, that we might actually be trading lower. Now,
so this is pretty normal, but long term, isn't this still super bullish? So yeah, if they lower rates, that's no problem in like the short term to actually dip the price a bit if they do that. So don't be too afraid if that happens. We saw that like a few times. The Fed cuts interest rates, markets go down, XRP goes down, then it literally goes back up at that sense. So yeah, in 20 out of 20 last times that the Fed has cut rates, stocks ended higher 12 months. So this is really about long term. The thing is, 2026, 2025 already had a huge rally. Does this mean we have a 2026 rally? Now that's the important question, because we still don't know how long this rally will last us for.
Bitcoin was under $1,000 back then, and is now over 110,000 today.
Yeah.
So it's been 100x return. And this year, I became quite constructive on Ethereum because in our view, I think Ethereum is one of the most important macro super cycles for the next 10 to 15 years. And an opportunity came along where I worked with another group called Mosaics. They're good business partners of mine. I've done business with them for about 15 years, and we had an opportunity to create an Ethereum treasury on an existing company. So this idea really made a lot of sense to us because I think Ethereum is one of the most important sort of super cycle stories for the next 10 to 15 years. And here was a chance to create a company or transform a company in the same way that MicroStrategy did with Bitcoin. I still like Bitcoin, and we still recommend it to clients because Bitcoin is, I think, a ideal store of value. So it's digital gold. Yeah. But in 2025, there is a much bigger transformation underway because the White House...
So yeah, 2025 is literally the time where the markets change the most. And I feel like 2026, 2027, and hopefully I'm wrong, will be the building years of crypto again, where crypto builds, but the price doesn't really change.
House has really pushed two different agendas. The first is the Genius Act, and that's to essentially greenlight stablecoins. And stablecoins are going to grow dramatically. Today, there's about $280 billion of stablecoins outstanding. Treasury Secretary Bessent thinks it's going to get to close to $4 trillion.
Yeah, he is.
So that's exponential growth. And then there's the SEC's Project Crypto, which is encouraging not only for Wall Street to look at digital assets, but to rebuild Wall Street onto the blockchain. Okay, so this is a dramatic moment where the financial system is essentially moving everything onto a digital platform. Wall Street is choosing to do this on Ethereum. So Ethereum is facing...
So yeah, Ethereum is the one that most have picked. I feel like that's why XRP has made a lot of these partnerships with other companies. Haven't they made a partnership and a $200 million rail deal? So that is one that we are seeing right now and that I'm hopeful for. But what XRP will need in the future is some type of partnership to keep it rolling, especially like with the banks. That's the first part. But in the future, XRP Ledger, like building applications or offering it to small businesses, that would definitely raise a lot of value for the coin itself.
A moment that what we call a super cycle, similar to what happened in 1971 when the US dollar went off the gold standard. And that moment is when Wall Street innovated financial products because the dollar became synthetic in 1971. But in 2025, it's now Wall Street essentially digitizing or tokenizing the real world. So Ethereum is unique because, number one, it's the blockchain of choice where Wall Street is building stablecoins and tokenized assets. But Ethereum is a proof of stake blockchain. So Ethereum treasury companies actually earn a staking yield. That's why MicroStrategy stock did better than Bitcoin. In August 2020, MicroStrategy stock was $13. Today it's $335. It's gone up by more than 25 times. The price of Bitcoin has gone from 10,000 to 110,000. So it's gone up by 11 times, but MicroStrategy stock's gone up by 25 times. And that's because MicroStrategy, as a treasury company, has grown your Bitcoin per share. And BitMine is growing your Ethereum held per share every week. It's growing by roughly 50 cents per day. To give you a perspective, the stock was $4.50 when we announced the treasury strategy, and today the stock's $43. So it's gone up by 10 times. Ethereum has risen by 50% in that period of time. So BitMine has outperformed Ethereum because you're growing your Ethereum held per share. So if you took the original example, okay, so let's say on July 8th, you had $4 of Ethereum or $4 worth of BitMine stock. And then let's say Ethereum went down 50%. The original person only has $2 of Ethereum because they bought it for $4 and it went down 50%. But today, someone has $40 worth of Ethereum, and if it goes down by 50%, it's $20 per share. So you actually made money even though Ethereum fell 50%.
Wow.
So it's a crypto treasury that's properly managed and executed will vastly outperform.
So that's what XRP wants to do. XRP literally wants to have treasuries like that, and a lot of companies have invested into the ledger that way.
Strategy than to buy a Bitcoin ETF.
And so, yeah, for precisely this reason, I do prefer XRP treasuries over XRP ETFs, but that does not mean that XRP ETFs are not going to be vastly changing the future in a massive way too. I mean, you saw how much volume came into Bitcoin ETFs during IBIT and all these other massive institutions launching them. It was amazing. And we saw retail flood into there because they don't understand the difference in intricacies between MicroStrategy and these ETFs, and they don't realize that these treasury companies in reality are much better for them for a number of different reasons. The one Tom Lee just described being one of the main ones. But I digress. A lot more treasury companies are coming. A lot more people are adopting stablecoins. The Fed is cutting interest rates. They're printing money, and this is likely to continue up until the end of the year. I showed you guys the data. I showed you guys the irrefutable facts. 20 of the last 20 times the Fed has cut rates with the S&P near all-time highs, we closed even higher 12 months later. That is a statistic that can change your life forever only if you take advantage of it. So I'm really hoping...
That's a really good point. But I feel like also the rate cuts, you know, those were different times. In 2021, rate cuts, we haven't seen any rate cuts for 3 to 4 years. But Levi has made a very good point here. Like, what's going to happen to XRP next is going to be a game changer. The issue is a lot of people look too much short term instead of long term and think, oh, well, XRP ETFs, you know, are approved. Why is it down? It's a very clear idea why we can finally see what's going on here. It is that XRP right now is at this price point very, very, very exciting for, you know, another pump. Again, I could be totally wrong here, and it is risky, but a lot of these rate cuts are going to help us even 12 months from now. We got to think, I'm personally thinking long-term on XRP. I'm thinking like 3 years, 5 years, because 5 years are going to pass by really fast, and these rate cuts are going to help us very, very well. Guys, I have been live for over 3 hours and 18 minutes, so smash that like button. So let us see here what else we have. We have seen tons more news here for XRP.